Hey friends, how y'all doing? Hey, it's great to see you again. This is Rich, the preacher man, and I've got a Bible study for you guys. I'm actually sitting in my office, and got my Bible study notes behind me, and I've got my handy Bible right here, and I want to talk to you about a surprise that you probably didn't even know was there. And it's in Mark chapter 8 in the 27th verse, and I'm going to read it. Here's the surprise. Jesus went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way, he asked the disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" Now, I bet you remember that story from your Sunday school days. You can remember that it was Peter who said, Jesus, you're the Messiah. And he got it right for a minute. Then Jesus had to say, "Get behind me, Satan," because he kind of got it wrong. That's not the surprise. The surprise is this. Jesus and his friends went on their way to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. Now, we don't know about Bible geography because, well, we don't live over there, and maybe we don't know about places, and so we just figure that everything that's mentioned in the Bible must be a nice place for Jesus to go. But it's not. Everybody who heard this story knew that Caesarea Philippi was something else. Let me tell you about Caesarea Philippi. I could easily say Mark chapter 8, verse 27. Jesus and his friends went on to Las Vegas. Nah, not even Las Vegas. Jesus and his friends went on to the Pearl River Resort. Nah, not even that. Jesus and his friends went to Phoenix City in 1950. That's really more like it. See, Caesarea Philippi was a place where Roman soldiers liked to go when they were on vacation. And we all know about soldiers and sailors on leave, right? It was a tawdry, bawdy, kind of naughty place. And it was also a temple, a shrine to the god Pan. Remember the little goat god Pan with little goat legs? And so they did lots of naughty things there in the name of Pan. It's just not the kind of place that Jesus would ever go to. So there's a mystery to it. You have to go to geography in order to understand. Now that's Mark chapter 8 when he goes to Caesarea Philippi. In Mark chapter 9, we're told that Jesus goes to the top of a high mountain and he's transfigured before his friends. Remember, he glows white, and Moses and Elijah appear of his head, and there's a cloud of smoke and some fire, and bright white, glows bright white. That's the transfiguration. Now, if you go with me to Israel today, there's a place called the Mount of Transfiguration, and it's far south of Caesarea Philippi. And I got to tell you, it was picked by the late Romans who invented tourism down there because it just happens to sit right between Nazareth and right between Capernaum, and it's a good spot to sell souvenirs. It's not really the place. There's an ancient church there, and it's pretty, and it's nice to go. But really, if you look at the Bible story in sequence, Jesus goes to the top of the high mountain, of which Caesarea Philippi is on a foothill. So, that high mountain is called Mount Hermon, and it's really the only high mountain in Israel. The others are just hills. It's a high mountain. It has snow on it most of the year. And as a matter of fact, people still ski there. So if you ever want to plan a ski trip, you might consider Mount Hermon. It sits right between Syria and Lebanon. But people do ski because they got to ski somewhere. So Jesus goes to the top of the high mountain. That's the reason why he is in Caesarea Philippi, because of the transfiguration. But there's more. There's still more. And you go all the way back to Genesis chapter 15. So you go back to the beginning of the book. We're told, I'm just going to tell you the story of it. So we just read this. We're going to go back to this. Genesis 15 tells us that Abraham had a dream. It's a weird dream that he cut some animals into two pieces. He really did that. And then in his dream, God came down like a cloud on a smoky pot and passed between the pieces. And this is how God ratifies his covenant with Abraham. Well, if you go back one chapter before that, you find out that Abraham's in the district of Dan. He had to go up there and fetch his nephew Lot, who had gotten into some trouble. And here you go, ta-da! Guess where Dan is next to? Mount Hermon. And for centuries, faithful Hebrew people have gone and prayed at a foothill of Mount Hermon that they call the Mount of the Cleavings, which is where Abraham had the dream and God appeared in the form of a cloud. Now, go fast forward back to Mark chapter 9. God reveals his son Jesus to be his only son, and he also appears in bright light and a cloud. And here's what I'm thinking. Both Genesis 15, Mark chapter 9, they're the same story. They're the story of God touching earth and being near them and revealing himself to them by a light and a cloud. Here's my point. I believe that God is always touching earth in special ways to reveal himself to us. God is doing what God always does, which is to touch our world. So even in the midst of this distant time and this quarantine and frustration and boredom, we can look around and we can see signs that God is near us and signs that God is with us and giving us good dreams and opening doors of opportunity for us and putting good people on our path and protecting us and giving us good health and good days and caring for those who love us very much. These are two stories, and they're the same story. And I think if we look around, we can see that that story continues today. God is here and near and touching us. That's my Bible story for today, and I hope I unpacked a little bit of a mystery. See you next week, guys.